So the second question you asked me is, can you describe a time and the steps taken when you instigated a successful improvement idea? Well, I'd like to tell you something about one of my recent projects. In this project, I was the lean coach in an improvement project at the gastroenterology department. This is a ward. And in this project, I, together with the improvement team of the department itself, we together looked at the whole clinical care path of some patient groups lying on this ward. So at the beginning, we started with a time observation study of the patients, and we calculated the amount of added value, the amount of time that was actually of added value to the patient. And I showed that actually on average only 10% of all the time during the first day of admission was of added value. So something was really, well, it wasn't really adding value to the patient the first day of admission. And that was actually the day before surgery. So we saw that historically patients were all admitted one day before surgery, although the data didn't show that there was much added value to that day in that day. So I suggested to really look critically at the admission process and question if it was really medically necessary to admit the patient one day before surgery. Was it not possible to maybe admit the patient on the morning before surgery? So what I then said, well, let's also investigate it from the patient perspective. Does the patient want to be admitted on the day of surgery? So we developed a patient questionnaire asking about their experience of the admission process and how they would feel about being admitted on the day of surgery. And what was good to see that more than 60% of all the patients indicated that they would actually prefer to be admitted on the day of surgery if that was medically possible. And on top of that, we also found some scientific proof about certain treatments that were given during the day before surgery. We found that they were actually no longer necessary on the basis of scientific research. So with this data and the information, we spoke to the doctors, the treating doctors, to find some possibilities to change the way the admission process was done. And in the end, we were able to convince the doctors to change and standardize some of their medical protocols. And on top of that, we developed a decision flow chart together with the doctors for the admission desk, so they could decide on their own on which day certain patient groups would be admitted. So in the end, we reduced the standard admission length for these patient groups from 6 to 5 days, and currently more than 60% of all the patients on this ward are now admitted on the day of surgery. And as I said before, in the past all patients were admitted one day in advance. So this really has led to a significant reduction in the number of admission days within this ward. So that was really one of the successful improvements I made.